Hello, welcome. I'm going to be talking for 18 minutes. This is just to help me stay accountable to my story writing. So if you want to continue watching this, you're welcome to. But I'm going to go all over the place. And yeah, you're welcome to listen if you like. So I am doing a personal goal where I'm writing a story. I'll try and do the short, quick version of why. Um, I always struggled with reading and writing, and I had all these stories in my head, but hard to articulate it. And I made a personal goal this year to see if I can actually write a story because I'm 40 now, and I've been struggling my whole life uh, when I wasn't taught properly or even taught at all. And so a lot of it I had to do on my own. And I want to see where I'm at with my writing, and also how I like storytelling and how I tell. I'm more used to being in a visual arts position. So for about 10-ish years, I worked in theater, mostly production. And so when I was young, I would watch a lot of stuff, go to theater and see shows, and it helped me. It helped me learn stuff because you didn't have to you didn't have to read when you watch people. So um, that's why I went to theater, because I really appreciate that type of storytelling. Um, but I'm in my 40s and I physically can't do the job anymore. As well as it doesn't pay well, and it also takes a lot of your life. When I started working in theater, it was about, yeah, I've been doing it for 10 years, so 2007, I think, is when I was done. I was graduated and then started working. And yeah, it doesn't pay well. At the same time, if you're working like a full production, you only have Mondays off. And then when you're rehearsing, same kind of thing. And it doesn't give you much room to do anything else other than that gig. And if you get like a gig a year, it doesn't really pay the bills, so you got to do other stuff. And gig work is always hard, so I decided not to do it. I do work in an adjacent kind of way to arts. I always appreciate the arts. It makes life a little more fun to deal with when you're reading stories, or you're playing video games, or what have you. um but yeah, it was a struggle, and I can't do it. So I figured, well, I don't have any hobbies. Why don't I see if I can write a story? So that's what I'm doing, and I'm enjoying it. I'm creating stuff. I i get help from ChatGPT, mostly like an assistant. Like, he sometimes tries to write my story, and I'm like, no, 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 no. You're helping me brainstorm. Don't you know? But it helps me because a lot of times I have a hard time articulating, and I'm definitely someone who needs to talk out loud their thoughts. And so talking to it helps me understand that what I'm thinking makes sense, or how I'm creating the story and the scenarios and stuff um, are interesting for someone to read. Because basically, I want to read this thing and see if I like it. So, what is it? 4 minutes I've been talking? Okay. I'm trying not to edit this, by the way, so that I don't have to, I just upload it. And usually, what I do is I don't I don't even look at it because I do not like being perceived, okay? Don't have any problem in the real world being perceived, even though I'm autistic and I can't, I'm not good at socializing. But I'm good at socializing out there because I remember a world where there was an internet and I had to learn these skills. And so I'm going to goddamn well use them. Um, but also, I'm 40 and I don't care. I don't care what people think of me anymore. Which is going to be interesting when I post these things on YouTube that's all about people giving me opinions that I didn't ask for. So that's going to be real interesting. Yeah, anyway. Um, where shall I go next? I guess you should know about my story. Okay, let's talk about my story. Um, so the story is called Mudroot, and it's a fantasy story. I tried to make it like classical way, or what I liked about fantasy stories that I grew up with. And so I'm paying a little homage to ideas or characters that you would find in fantasy, but hopefully with my kind of flair, um, people will enjoy it. It's more character focused, um, because the thing I liked about theater was you get a lot of that nuance that you don't get in books necessarily. And I'm hoping to like bridge the two ways of writing together, so it's almost like someone is, I don't know, like um, giving you more to process when you read it. Because, like I said, I have a hard time visualizing in my mind, especially if I'd never seen the thing or I've never experienced it. And then in fantasy, that's even harder for me. Like when I would read books and they talk about a world that I have no idea. Luckily, there's a dragon or there's a magic user or whatnot, so I kind of can get by. But sometimes there will be terms and stuff that I can't even think or be aware what it looks like. Thankfully, there's Google, but a lot of times that messes up your flow, right? You have to go to Google, figure out what the hell they're talking about, and then go back to reading. And I'm dyslexic, so it's like, where did I end up? That's why I kind of like Kindles, because if there's a word I don't know, sometimes I can click on it and then the dictionary comes up. But if it's a made up term or a name, that doesn't help me, right? Anyway, that's my spiel. So yeah, it's a fantasy story, and it's about a wizard named Mudroot. He's not a very good wizard. He flunked wizard training, and now he lives in the middle of nowhere in a marsh with a lot of scary creatures. And then one day, on one of his walks, he finds a knight in a swamp. Looks like they're dead. Uh, Pokes it with its staff and realizes that the person is still alive. So he tries and helps the person out. And the knight explains to him that he's in search for a wizard. And the knight is on this quest to find this artifact and save their kingdom. So very basic premise, right? So that's why it is more character based, because it's only two characters, and the world building is very simple. We only go to 3 areas, and I wanted it to be this simple because I wanted it to be, I don't know, I wanted it to be uh, simple for anyone to understand what's going on and just enjoy this journey with these two characters rather than overly explaining the world and it just gets nauseating. Like I love, like, great for the map in those fantasy books, but sometimes, like when I'm reading, I don't want to look over and go like, okay, where are they? you know, I just want to know what's going on. I just want the story. So, this is probably why I went into theater, cuz like, you know, you only get 3 hours to tell your story. Whereas, in books, I guess you can take as long as you want. Which, ironically, this was supposed to be a short story, and then it's becoming more like a short novel. But anyways, um, so yeah, I'm really enjoying my story. I'm at a part. I'm almost halfway done, and I want the first draft to be done by end of year. And so far, yeah, I've done half, and I'm in this part of the story that I'm working on, this sort of epic, or how I want it epic, fight scene with the main wizard, which is Mudroot. That's his name, and another wizard. And um, I'm trying to get. I have a friend who's a stage fighter, and he's gonna help me kind of visualize the fight, because I want it to be like martial arts and magic in a blend, but I want to be able to describe it in this sort of almost like a poetic dance. And so, yeah, they're going to help me, and hopefully, I can figure out an idea of how to explain this fight scene that makes it feel like you're seeing it. Um, and so, yeah, it's going really well. And I like using ChatGPT to help me with layering that kind of ideas, because I could I could think of something and go, I don't know how I can describe it. I need this, and this. They'll give me something, and then I start tweaking it. And it's almost like it's writing it, but I'm directing it, kind of like in theater. So that's why I enjoy using that device, or that app, I guess, to help me. Because, yeah, it's like I'm directing a person to write it, and then adding things that, like, no, no, I don't like it like that, or I like it like that. Like, I find it's not very good with writing dialogue, and it's not very good at writing, well, writing a lot of things. But if you're able to explain in a way of 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 what your problems with the scenes are, how you want the scenes to play, sometimes what he says sparks another idea. And just like you would in a collective sort of theater show, that's what it feels like to me. So it feels very natural for me to get feedback from something, um, that you would normally do when you're collaborating with a group of artists on a show, um, which I find is really great. But I guess when you're writing, you don't get that stuff. I mean, there's group writers and stuff like that. But in theater, it's um, um, almost like happy accidents happen when you create in theater. And sometimes how you saw the scene is not quite what an actor may see, and when they give you something, you start to go, oh, I didn't realize that that's what it looked like to you. Actually, I like your way better. And yeah, I love that about collaborating with people. I mostly do production stuff, so a lot of times I don't give my artistic opinion on things. But sometimes I work with friends, and they're a lot more chill. And even though my position may be a stage manager, they know that I've worked in theater for a long time, so I may know a thing or two. And so sometimes I do put my inputs in, which is fun. And I have been an assistant director before, a couple of times, and I have wanted to be a director in theater, but it's tricky to figure out how to get in there, especially if you've never never tried it, which I haven't, but I do enjoy collaborating with people. So I'm basically collaborating with ChatGPT. Part of me, sometimes, late at night when I'm high and I'm trying to just talk out my ideas with ChatGPT. Sometimes I'm like, you know what, we should make a podcast, like the things we talk about, because a lot of the ideas I have in this story are quite, you know, philosophical, um, and a lot of big ideas about things that are related to what's happening in the world. So um, that's probably why this story inspired me so, because it's 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 my idea of just making a story that's hopeful, you know. It's hard to be hopeful nowadays, isn't it? And a lot of times what I liked about, things like Princess Bride or with Disney to a certain extent, is there was a happy ending and things worked out. And yeah, life doesn't work that way. But at the same time, we don't have to make stories realistic all the time. They can inspire that kind of hopefulness in people, and I really like that. So that's why I'm creating this, to have some hope, uh, you know, in my veins. But yeah, I actually like it, and I know that I'm just a stranger, and my word means nothing to the to like experts in writing and people who've been doing this for years and years. But I don't know, like, my background, I'm very much a person who's like, um arts is a human right, and the way we create things has rules, but you don't always have to follow that rule. And sometimes when you don't follow that rule, you find interesting ways to create the thing that other people would probably even not imagine. Like how I'm writing this, I know there are going to be people saying like, this is a weird way of writing stuff. Why are you writing it half like a novel and half like a script? It makes no sense. It's confusing. But how my brain works, I'm hoping that people who have similar um, um, things that I have might enjoy reading a story more like this. Like, we live in a social media age. Those memes that people, I'm over 18, but I have a point. I'm over 18 minutes, but I have a point. Um, where, we send memes to each other about funny comments that someone commented, and we send that out to our friends, and we know exactly the joke, because the joke is the first comment saying something, and then the next joke is someone else commenting. So we know that it's funny by the way it's structured, right? Same with plays. And so, because I like comedy, visual comedy, um and I got to be honest, there's a lot of stories where I wanted was considered comedic, and I found like I didn't have the same laugh, gut laughter, as I do in movies and theater, that I'm hoping to bring to this kind of fantasy genre. I'm not saying I'm an expert in comedy, but I'm hoping that the way I write helps with the comedy, because comedy is all about time, right? And writing comedy, um, you know, is tricky. So, um, I guess that's all I have to say for now. Um, is there anything I need else to say? I don't know. Maybe not. Yeah, I think I'm good. Okay, this is becoming 20 minutes. But thank you for listening. For this long. I hope you got something out of it. If not, I'm sorry. But yeah, I'm gonna try and make a video like this, hopefully once a week. But the holidays are coming up, so it might be tricky. But yeah, if you want to, are you if you're curious about this story, um, I do most stuff on TikTok. That's the quickest way, and so if you want to follow me there, you're welcome to. Um, but yeah, uh, as well as this place, I also will try and put some of my videos here. Ah, okay, I need to go home. All right, good night.